Hello, it's the middle of the night, as it normally is with my videos, so hope you're ready for some tired rambling. I've just come in from a lovely dinner with my booktube darlings, Karis, Leanne and Charlotte, so I feel in a bookish mood and just thought that while the fancy struck me, I would sit down and talk about some books. Now in my last video, which is my big return to booktube, I talked about all the books I'd read in my absence. And today, tonight, this evening, we're going to be talking about all of the books that I bought in my absence. And there's quite a few. If you couldn't already tell. By my count there's 27, but probably by the time this goes up there will be one or two more because I have some pre-orders waiting for me at Waterstones, because of course I do. There are so many here that chronology and any type of order is going to go out the window. I'm literally going to start with the pile that's closest to me and we're just going to work our way through. So the first two on this pile I don't feel that guilty about because I've already read them. Look at me go. And these are the only two on this massive pile that I've read, so. But the books are Maybe in Another Life and One True Loves by Queen, Taylor Jenkins Reid. And obviously I got these because Simon & Schuster have recently started publishing Taylor Jenkins Reid's backlist in the UK. These were previously not available, you can only get them as US imports, and so now that they're coming out in sort of matching covers, and her other two I believe are coming out next year, I wanted to finally get them and read some more Taylor Jenkins Reid because of course. And I read both of these on my recent holiday to Venice. They're very good holiday reads, breezed through both of them. Obviously did not hold a candle to Miss Evelyn Hugo or Miss Daisy Jones, but that's okay, I didn't expect them to, and yeah. But by the time this video is up, we can add another book onto this pile because I will have Carrie Soto Is Back, which is her newest release, because I have that on pre-order at Waterstones and I just got an email that's been dispatched, so Taylor Jenkins Reid is really dominating my haul this year, but you know what? She's a queen, she deserves it. The next book on my pile is called By Grand Central Station I Sat Down and Wept by Elizabeth Spart, and I came across this in the bookshop and I was originally intrigued not only by the incredible title, but because Angela Carter, queen of my heart Angela Carter, has blurbed this and it says, like Madame Bovary, blasted by lightning, a masterpiece. And if Angela Carter thinks that something is a masterpiece, that is something that I want on my shelf immediately. And for those of you who've been on this channel for a while, you know my borderline unhinged obsession with New York, so the title, By Grand Central Station I Sat Down and Wept, oh, perfect for Sad Girl Autumn. I am ready. And I believe this book is sort of one long poem. I believe Elizabeth Smart is more known for her poetry. Originally published in 1945 and now reissued on its 70th anniversary, this remarkable book is widely identified as a classic work of poetic prose that decades later has retained all of its searing poignancy, beauty and impact. One day, while browsing in a London bookshop, Elizabeth Smart chanced upon a slim volume of poetry by George Barker and fell passionately in love with him through the printed word. Eventually they communicated directly, and as a result of Barker's impoverished circumstances, Elizabeth Smart flew both him and his wife from Japan, where he was teaching, to join her in the United States. Thus began one of the most extraordinary, intense and ultimately tragic love affairs of our time. They never married, but Elizabeth bore George Barker 4 children, and their relationship provided the impassioned inspiration for the most moving and immediate chronicles of a love affair ever written. By Grand Central Station I Sat Down and Wept. I feel like I just lived 20 lifetimes reading that blurb. Wow, okay, so this is written by Elizabeth Smart, who fell in love with a man through poetry and then wrote a massive poem about it, which just sounds incredibly iconic, and I'm ready to have my heart broken and put back together by this incredible book. I then picked up You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry because I am not immune to a hype train. I am not immune to hype and popularity and all of that stuff. I'm not sniffy about things that are trending on TikTok or whatever. I will read a hyped book because most of them are hyped for a reason, and I'm excited to get to this. And I believe this is about 2 best friends who go on a holiday every year and then they have a falling out, and then they go on a holiday a year after that to try and reconcile, and then I think they fall in love. But I am excited to read this and finally get on the Emily Henry train. I'm coming to join you all. I'm very late, I apologise, but I will get there, I will get there. I then have Her Again, Becoming Meryl Streep, which I just picked this up on a whim. It was $2.99 from Oxfam, and I just thought, I like Meryl Streep and I can afford $2.99, so banging. And that's pretty much my entire thought process behind it. I don't know if I've ever read like a biography before. I've read memoirs where it's the person the book is about writing their own story, and often I'll listen to the audiobooks of those. I've been really enjoying that recently. I did that with the Brian Cox memoir and the Miriam Margolyes, both of whom are also actors, so I think I tend to gravitate towards like iconic actors who have a lot of like cool anecdotes about like the film industry and, you know, working with other actors and creative people. And Meryl Streep is an obvious icon that I'm interested to learn more about, so I thought, why not pick this up? I always find book hauls so awkward because, like, at least if I'm doing a review I can like string some coherent like thought together, but with a book haul I feel like I'm not giving you any valuable information other than like, here's the book that I wanted so I bought it. But you know, whatever. Something else I picked up on the same Oxfam trip as the Meryl Streep biography was Grown Ups by Marianne Keyes, because wonderful Leanne Rose, aforementioned Leanne Rose, who I was at dinner with this evening, literally my mind just spaced out for a second there. Leanne talks very highly of Marianne Keyes, who's obviously an Irish author, and is a very popular author, I think, you know, in the same realm as like Jojo Moyes, who does kind of like, not gritty, like adult, digestive literature that is about like a whole breadth of topics such as kind of family and romance and just like everyday struggles, but with like a light-hearted tone, is what Leanne told me. So I'm excited to get to this. It's a bit of a chunky one, but I hope that means that it's something that you can like sink your teeth into and like really get to know the characters over the course of like this many pages, because the back says that it's about Jessie, Cara and Nell, married to brothers Johnny, Ed and Liam Casey, 3 very different women tied to 3 very different men. Every family occasion is a party until the day the secrets spill out. Playtime is over, but where are the grown-ups? So that sounds like a bit of a banger actually. I'm quite excited to read that. Next we have Girls Against God by Yenny Val, and this is a bit of a sore one for me because I bought this because we were going to read it for Briar Rose Book Club, and then we fell off of Briar Rose Book Club, which is very, very sad. But this book was put forward as a suggestion by Lovely Bee, our co-founder and co-host of Briar Rose Book Club, and it sounds incredible. I remember reading the blurb of that and being like, why haven't I heard of this at all? Welcome to small town Norway. White picket fences run in strict rows and strict white Christian values run deep. Here a teenage woman gives in to the lure of rebellion offered by the upstart black metal scene. She is a creature of obscure creativity and of hatred she holds dear. She moves to Oslo, a site of weird convergences. A coven of witches cook up curses, demons descend on a cafeteria. A time-travelling Edward Monk joins a metal band, closely pursued by his pubescent model, who has murder on her mind. Meanwhile, out deep in the forest, a group of schoolgirls lose their way and find only terrible strangeness. Awful things happen in Aspic. Jenny Val's latest novel is a radical fusion of feminist thought and experimental horror, and a unique treatise on magic, writing, and art. Literally every single word of that was like ringing my bells. I need to read this, I need to read this. And also on the new Florence and the Machine album, Girls Against God is one of my favourite songs on there, so excited to read this while vibing to that song. It's a vibe. And speaking of spooky vibes, I have these wonderful books from the British Library, and they do a 3 for 2 deal, so of course I was tempted and then I caved, and I had to get 3. And I think I definitely got these in like January, which is ridiculous because like I did a Christmas haul and was like, I'm not gonna buy any more books, and then immediately I bought 3 books. So the first one is Weird Woods, Tales from the Haunted Forests of Britain, edited by John Miller, and I think these are like fiction tales from different authors that are about haunted forests of Britain. And the next one is Evil Roots, Killer Tales of the Botanical Gothic, edited by Daisy Butcher. And again, this is like an anthology of short stories, and there's Arthur Conan Doyle in there, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, H.G. Wells, and then other like lesser known authors as well, which is quite exciting. And again, I'm so excited to get into these like near Halloween time. And the last one is Spirits of the Season Christmas Hauntings, edited by Tanya Kirk. And of course I had to get the Christmas one, so very excited to like get into these like Halloween and Christmas time. It's just, oh, set mood. I'm so excited. Oh, thank you past me for buying those. And next I have Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I have seen so many like rave reviews of this book, and I think I had some money on like my Waterstones card or something, so I just picked this up at some point, and now it's in this massive pile. And I feel bad because now looking at all these books in detail, I'm like, these are so good, like why haven't I read these? Worms for brains. But I think also I'm like waiting for the right time to read this, because everyone is like emotionally devastated by this book, because it's Michelle's kind of memoir of losing her mother, I believe, and like reassessing her Korean heritage and like her relationship with her kind of homeland when her mother dies. But yeah, waiting for the right time when I'm like ready to be emotionally devastated, and then I will definitely get to this book. And next up is a book that I've had my eye on for like literal years. I remember I think I saw this in FOP like years and years ago, and for some reason like didn't want to justify buying a book at that time because I probably had too many. Familiar story. And then recently I was in a bookshop in South Kensington with my dad, and he just wanted to treat me to a book, which was very, very kind of him. And then when I saw this, I was like, the time has finally come for me to get my hands on this book. And it is Fangirls, Scenes from Modern Music Culture by Hannah Ewens. I'm so ready to read this. It's non-fiction, and it's about fangirls like throughout the ages, and it's just made for me. And on the back it just says, I wanted to know more about what it meant to be a fan, to ask what they were doing, why they are doing it. I wanted to look with care away from the stars themselves, towards the people who gave them any luminescent quality. Those people are, so frequently, teenage girls. Preach, exactly. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. As someone who has gone through many a boy band and like heartthrob phase, I am ready to feel validated and less alone and less weird, and just, oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited. And now we get onto the massive hardback pile, so God. It just keeps going. I believe this one was a charity shop purchase, so I feel less bad about this one. And this is The Bass Rock by Evie Wilde, which I think I saw on Jen Campbell's channel like a lifetime ago, and I think it's like a witchy thing set in Scotland, I want to say. Surging out of the sea, the Bass Rock have century watched over the lives that pass under its shadow on the Scottish mainland, and across the centuries the fates of 3 women are linked to this place, to each other. In the early 1700s, Sarah, accused of being a witch, flees for her life. I know why I bought this. In the aftermath of the Second World War, Ruth navigates a new house, a new husband, and the strange waters of the local community. 6 decades later, the house stands empty. Viv, mourning the death of her father, catalogues Ruth's belongings and discovers her place in the past and perhaps a way forward. Each woman's choices are circumscribed in ways big and small by the men in their lives. But in sisterhood there is the hope of survival and new life. Intricately crafted and compulsively readable, The Bass Rock burns bright with anger and love. Sick. Well, I'm excited to read that. I love a good book haul. It reminds me why I bought these books, and like gets me excited to read them, which obviously may not happen immediately, but you know, we can hope. I cannot believe I haven't read this yet. It was literally like my most fucking anticipated book that was coming out this year. I pre-ordered it like within seconds of it, you know, coming onto Waterstones. I'm such an embarrassment. Anyway, Book of Night by Holly Black. Holly Black's The Cruel Prince series is literally one of my favourite things to ever exist, and I'm so grateful for it. And Holly Black was also integral in my childhood with the Spiderwick books, so there's just no reason why I shouldn't have inhaled this the moment it fell into my hands. But I just haven't yet. I just have not, and I will, and I should. And the next one was very much a Leanne influenced purchase, and that's because Leanne works at the publisher that this is published by, and she read a very early proof copy of it. So even before this was out, she had been like singing its praises, saying that she was so excited for it to come out, and like there was lots of buzz around it in like the Simon & Schuster offices, and it finally came out, and it's gorgeous, and it's a middle grade fantasy novel, I believe, that's about unicorns, so kind of like Percy Jackson, but like with magical unicorns, and that just sounds like such a great vibe, and I'm very excited to read it because I trust Leanne's judgment and I need more middle grade in my life, and I feel like with the Percy Jackson show coming out, I'm going to be like in that mood for a new like mythological kind of adventure, if that makes sense. And the next book I think is non-fiction, which is The Fairy Tellers by Nicholas Jubber. No, it's not funny, that's someone's name. Anna, don't be rude. Okay. A Journey into the Secret History of Fairy Tales, which, come on now, of course this is up my street. I'm very excited for this. In this far-ranging quest, award-winning author Nicholas Jubber, stop it, unearth the lives of the dreamers who made our most beloved fairy tales, inventors, thieves, rebels, and forgotten geniuses who gave us classic tales such as Cinderella, Hansel and Gretel, Beauty and the Beast, and Baba Yaga. I mean, yeah, okay. We know I'm gonna love this. It's fairy tales. I pre-ordered the new Margaret Atwood Burning Questions, and this is a collection of essays. What was so exciting about it is that, hang on, it's signed. And I don't know if you can see that from there, probably not, but it's signed, trust me, it is signed. And I did do a little intake of breath. I mean, usually I'm not entirely fazed by a signed book, you know, but there is the occasional author that will, you know, get me excited for a signed book, and Margaret Atwood is one of them. You know, I'm a recent Atwood stan. The only Atwood books that I've read are Cat's Eye and the Penelope Ad, both of which I really enjoyed, and there are more of her books that I think I'm definitely primed to enjoy, so I just thought, she's got a new book coming out, why not get it? Why not get it signed? That would be just a nice thing to do for myself. And it was. I enjoyed it deeply. And on the back this says, how can we live on our planet? How slippery is the slope? Is it true and is it fair? Why do people everywhere in all cultures tell stories? So what if beauty is only skin deep? What do zombies have to do with authoritarianism? So I think that's kind of like a taster for like some of the topics that are discussed in this book of essays. And I don't think I've ever read anything non-fiction by Margaret Atwood, so I'm intrigued to see what kind of form this takes, whether it's done quite lyrical, whether it's character-based, or whether it's just analytical, because I know that she can be quite methodical with research that she does for her in prose novels, so I think she does definitely have that sort of ability to have an academic mode, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of tone this takes. But yeah, I'm excited. And the next book, I believe, was a belated Christmas present from Becca, my friend Becca, who lives in the States, which is why it wasn't in my Christmas haul, I believe. I think we are very late in like sending packages to each other, and also like the US mail system was just in shambles at this point. But anyway, the book is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and I remember seeing this like everywhere when it came out. And I believe this is non-fiction. Yes. Her name was Henrietta Lacks, but scientists know her as Gila. She was a poor southern tobacco farmer who worked the same land as her slave ancestors, yet her cells, taken without her knowledge, became one of the most important tools in medicine. The first immortal human cells grown in culture. They are still alive today, though she has been dead for more than 60 years. If you could pile all Gila cells ever grown onto a scale, they'd weigh more than 50 million metric tons, as much as 100 Empire State Buildings. Gila cells are vital for developing the polio vaccine, uncovered secrets of cancer, viruses, and the atom bomb's effects, helped lead to important advances like in vitro fertilization, cloning, and gene mapping, and have been bought and sold by the billions. Yet Henrietta Lacks remains virtually unknown, buried in an unmarked grave. That's really sad. And I'm actually really glad that it was Becca that gifted me this book specifically, because Becca does a lot of work in science and biology, and I don't know the specifics, but she's very, very clever, and she works in labs, and she was working on like the COVID vaccine and like different vaccines, and she knows her stuff. So I'm very glad that like this is a book that I can read and it will make me think of her, not only because of the fact that she gave it to me, but the fact that like her work is quite closely tied to what this book is about. So thank you, Becca, and I'll get to it soon, I promise. Oh no. So of course I had this massive fucking book on my pre-order list, and that is To Paradise by Hanya Nagahara, and I only read A Little Life fairly recently. I think I read it in like 2021, at the beginning of the year in January, the most depressing month, so I was like, might as well just go down the sadness hole and read A Little Life. And I did. I very much went down the sadness hole. But I thought it was beautifully written, and obviously it's a bit of an event when someone like Hanya Nagahara, who only publishes like every 5 years, I think it is, like 5-6 years, it's kind of an event when she has a new book out, so I thought I would pre-order it. And it's here now, and it's fucking massive. So obviously I've not read it yet. It arrived in January, and it's just still here on my floor. I'm so sorry. And we're finally on to the last bloody pile. We can start with ones that I don't feel guilty for because they were a gift, another gift from Becca, aforementioned Becca, who came to visit me in July? Beginning of July, yes. And she did not have to, but she carted these 4 books all the way from the States just for me. And I remember her raving about them earlier in the year, so I am really excited to get stuck in. And she got me all 4, so like that's how much like she believes that I'm going to enjoy the series. Like she didn't just get me the first one, she was like, no, you need all 4. I trust her judgment, and I'm very excited. And she's very helpfully labelled which one is book 1. What an angel. So this is The Simple Wild, and the back says, Carla Fletcher wasn't even 2 when her mother took her and fled Alaska, unable to handle the isolation of the extreme rural lifestyle, leaving behind Carla's father, Ren Fletcher, in the process. Carla never looked back, and at 26, a busy life in Toronto is all she knows. But when Carla learns that Ren's days may be numbered, she knows that it's time to make the long trip back to the remote frontier town of her birth to attempt to fix their estranged relationship. I'm intrigued. And next we have such a gorgeous book. Thank you, Juno Dawson. And that is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. It's gorgeous. And I believe this is just about a coven of witches, and it's obviously like a play on HMRC, which is something revenue and customs, blah, blah. And it's about a coven of witches that like work for the government, and I'm excited. It's beautiful. I could tell you in more detail, but I want to read this really soon because of Halloween, so I feel like I will have thoughts for you soon. I also have Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. Again, another book that I bought in anticipation of making it a Briar Rose Book Club read. It hasn't happened, but me and B were very seduced by this cover, so we both bought copies at the same time in the bookshop, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna make it the book club book, and it hasn't happened yet. It may do soon. We'll keep you posted on that. But I believe that this is Sapphic, and it's blurbed by Sarah Waters, so that again is a good sign. Mary thinks she has got her wife back when Leah finally returns after a deep-sea mission that ended in catastrophe. It soon becomes clear, though, that Leah may have come back wrong. Whatever happened in that vessel, whatever it was they were supposed to be studying before they were stranded on the ocean floor, Leah has carried part of it with her, onto dry land and into their home. To have the woman she loves back should mean a return to normal life, but Mary can feel Leah slipping away from her grasp. Memories of what they had before, the jokes they shared, the films they watched, all the small things that made Leah hers, only remind Mary of what she stands to lose. Living in the same space but suddenly separate, Mary comes to realise that the life they had might be gone. Our Wives Under the Sea is a debut novel from the critically acclaimed author of Salt Slow. It's a story of falling in love, loss, grief, and what life there is in the deep, deep sea. I can see why I was seduced by this novel. Very much want to read this soon, which I know I have said for literally every fucking other book in this video. Another book I want to read soon is Milk Teeth by Jessica Andrews, because I loved Saltwater by Jessica Andrews, and that is a sort of very lyrical, poetic, vignette-y, fragmented type novel, and I really enjoyed that style. And Karis, who has already read a proof of this because she works at the publisher, very bougie, I like having friends in high places, Karis has assured me that this is really good, and it has that same sort of vignette poetic style, and that's what I love so much about Saltwater, so I'm very excited to sink my teeth into this book. Can you tell I've got to the point where I'm very sleepy? I put that down and then I realised I did not say at all any kind of synopsis of what you're about. Sorry. A lush and intimate love story from the award-winning author of Saltwater. Brilliant. A girl grows up in the northeast of England amid scarcity, precarity, and a toxic culture of bodily shame, certain that she must make herself ever smaller to be loved. Oh, to be loved, not to beloved. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I'm excited. Sounds good. Well done, Jessica Andrews. And last but certainly not least is the most recent addition to my massive haul pile, Babel by R.F. Kuang. And you know what? She's gorgeous. She's stunning. She's wonderful. And it's September. It is the perfect time to get stuck into dark academia, and I'm ready. I haven't actually read the Poppy War series because a lot of the people that were like highly anticipating this are like stands of the Poppy War series, and obviously they can attest to like how good the writing style is. But I've just committed on pure vibes. I believe the hype. I believe the Poppy War is good. I will get to it at some point, but I just went straight in because I was like, dark academia, I'll probably like it. I think it's set in Oxford, and I realised that I literally pre-ordered this based on literal vibes. I have no idea what it's about, and this is what the back says. Robin paused, too dazzled to follow. Of all the marvels of Oxford, Babel seemed the most impossible. A tower out of time, a vision from a dream. Those stained glass windows, that high imposing dome, an illumination in a medieval manuscript, a door to a fairyland. It seemed impossible that they should have come here every day to study, that they had the right to enter at all. Yet here it stood, right in front of them, waiting. Anthony beckoned, beaming. Well, come on in. Just from that little snippet, it's giving me like Strange the Dreamer vibes, and if this is as good as Strange the Dreamer, I'm not ready, because that book, I'm excited. I'm excited. And there we have it. I think that is all 27 books that I have acquired since January. So yeah, congratulations if you made it to the end of what I assume is a very long video, and let me know if there are any books on this massive list that I should make an immediate priority. And yeah, I will see you very soon in the next video. Thanks for sticking with me. Goodbye.